It wasn't until I checked myself into a mental hospital and took a therapeutic dosage of medication that I was able to function as a human being. Hey guys, it's Heather Armstrong, and we're here today to talk about overcoming depression. How much time do you have? I come from a long line of mentally ill people. My mother's brothers and sisters, all of them have been diagnosed with bipolar disorder or anxiety or depression, and I, for one, have been diagnosed with chronic depression and anxiety, and I know that I will be on medication for the rest of my life.
When I was 28 or 29, things were going great. I had a great job. I had a boyfriend I loved whom I later married. I had friends, cute cats, and I was filled with crushing despair. And I finally went on medication. Now, it had been many years that in the making, people had been trying to talk me into it, mental health professionals and the like. And I realized after I went on medication that I had always been depressed for as long as I could remember. And I feel so overdramatic saying that.
My experience with depression is a little bit similar to yours, Alice, in that I believe it's possible that I've had lifelong dysthymia. I did okay and managed well until I had babies. I had 4 bouts of postpartum depression, each one worse than the last. But Mindy, you only have 3 children. That's correct. I had 1 failed pregnancy. I won't go into it here. I won't go through any judgment or anything like that. Let's just say we chose not to have that baby.
You know, I think I'm here to represent the male gender and just to let everybody know that depression is not just for women anymore. Guys actually do succumb to depression now and then, and unfortunately I was one of those people. I think, the hardest thing about being depressed is something that Heather and Alice both touched on, which is that you can't see it. There's no lab report or x-ray or CAT scan that you're going to see that definitively says, yes, that person is depressed, and you can see that right here. You sort of have to take that person's word for it.
These are things that have been said to me my entire life up until the point that I was medicated. Let's see. Have you heard this one before? It's all in your mind. No one ever said life was fair. What's your problem? Will you stop that constant whining? What makes you think anyone cares? Why don't you just grow up? Stop feeling sorry for yourself. You have it so good. Why aren't you happy?
People don't really understand depression. They know that depression is a mental illness, and mental illness, that those words are heavy in this country and in most of the world, I think. People think that if you have a mental illness that you are crazy, and that's not the case.
It's not being self-involved. When I was depressed, I couldn't think about myself. I couldn't be self-involved because I was too uncomfortable thinking about myself. It was too painful. I would do anything I could to distract myself, anything.
If you think that running and eating right is going to help you, by all means do it. If you think that meditation and prayer are what's going to help you, try it. If you think that putting tinfoil on your head and turning circles in the middle of the desert is going to help you, put on the tinfoil.
It is incredibly uncomfortable to be depressed. It is at times excruciating. And it is markedly different from being sad. I remember once being having a relative very close to me die unexpectedly and just being filled with grief and crying and realizing that it was in a way it was fantastic because I had a reason to be sad. I could really feel something for the first time in a long time.
For somebody who is severely depressed, it's such an intolerable pain, physical pain, mental pain, the likes of which you cannot imagine unless you've been there. It's so unbearable and so excruciating that the only way you can think of to make it stop is to stop living. So be kind when you think of people who have succumbed to this overwhelming desire to just make it stop. It's probably the only way they could think of to make it stop hurting so that they wouldn't hurt someone else.
I do think being a parent and being depressed, it's much, much harder because you can't lie in bed for days at a time. You can't function at 30%. You have to be there for your child. So in a way, having a child has done more for my mental health than anything else because I've got somebody I'm beholden to.
God, I wish people had talked to me more. And I wish I knew how to ask for help.
I will stand up for anybody who is afraid to say, hey, I'm not feeling okay, and let you know that I felt that way too, and I got to the other side. And I don't have to live my life like that anymore. I don't have to be miserable. I don't have to be choked by anxiety every moment of the day or be unable to sleep because I took the steps to get through it. And you can too.
Join the Momversation at momversation.com.